Welcome to I Got a Question Conversations with Dr. S. Welcome to I Got a Question Conversations with Dr. S. Today, I am so stoked to meet with and ask questions of the one and only Daria Dixon. Daria, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. I am thrilled about this conversation we're getting ready to have, and blessings to you on this new venture. I'm excited.
Thank
So
you.
I'm here.
Just talking to you, I feel like I'm back home, like that Southern accent, like I'm here for. I'm like, let's go get some shrimp and grits. And
Girl.
like, that's what I'm talking about. All right.
Mhm.
So before I get into any of my questions, will you please introduce yourself to our listeners?
Okay, I'm Daria, the Healthy Church Girl Dixon. I am born and raised here in Tampa, Florida. We've moved off, but come back home. I am an Air Force, a retired Air Force wife. And by day, I am a public procurement operations coordinator. I spend money all day long on contracts and bids for Hillsborough County. So that's a story all in its on its own. But I am a born again, saved and
Come
sanctified
on.
Christian church girl. Here in Tampa, I am a member of Peace Progressive Missionary Baptist Church. For most of my life, we were up in Virginia for a little stint, and I was a proud member of New Beach Grove Baptist Church in Newport News, Virginia. So church is part of my
Mhm.
fabric. It's part of my making. It's part of my foundation. My village was in the church. That's where I found my tribe as I grew up in the
Mhm.
church. So that's a little bit about me. I'm an open book, so feel free to ask away.
Okay, good. I'm excited. So we were talking a little bit before we got started about how we met virtually on IG. And I just think that's one of the testaments to social media and
Mhm.
how it can bring people together who wouldn't ordinarily have a connection. And so I just wanted to publicly say that, like, for those people who are like, know about, Facebook and IG
Telling
and
you.
if you younger, Snapchat and all that stuff, TikTok. But
Mhm.
like you can definitely make some powerful connections if you're willing to kind of step out of your comfort zone a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
So I love that. So
Absolutely. I love it. My mama is in social media world. She thinks I'm a genius at it because I show her little stuff. I'm like, Mama, you see those stories across there?
mhm.
They're 24 hours. You got 24 hours to watch them or they're gonna drop off. She's 24 hours. Yeah, Mama, that's a feature. She's on now. She's on Facebook. She's not on the Instagram world just yet, but yeah, even my mama, 74-year-old mama, she's on Facebook.
I
So
love it. Go mama. I
yes,
love it. So as we talk
yes.
about, social media and how you can make
Hmm.
connections, one of the reasons your content really resonated with me, and I don't know how we got connected. I know we connected and we've been connected
Oh,
for a while. But one of the things that even just first caught my eye to make me be like, let me explore more. What's your handle? So Healthy Church Girl. So I know for some people they may seem a little self-explanatory, but can you share a little
mhm.
bit about how that handle came about and its significance to you?
Oh, honey, I can't take credit for it.
Okay.
I really can't. I don't want to be a thief. I don't want to be caught as a thief. But actually, Healthy Church Girl was a gift from
Mm,
God. I
mm,
tell everybody this when I do my interviews. Healthy Church Girl was a gift from God. I didn't ask for it. We were up in Virginia. Now, remember I told you I was born and raised in Tampa.
mhm.
And the part of Virginia we were in, Hampton Roads, everybody was like, "You'll love it. It never snows. It'll be fine." It snowed every year I was there, number
Wow.
one. So I was completely out of my element for a while. And when you move out, Florida, well, a lot of people are like me, but up in Virginia, new cultures, new
Mhm.
attitudes. People do things differently there.
Mhm.
Either way, I used to get up in the morning and ask me why. To this day, I know it now because it was Healthy Church Girl. but the Lord used to wake me up. And there was nothing wrong. It wasn't like I was going through depression or I was dealing with this or dealing with that. My husband used to say, "Why are you up this time of morning?" And I don't know if anybody's ever been in that place or that space where you just, like at a certain time every morning, my eyes would pop open and I just felt the Lord telling me to get out and walk. Walking wasn't new to me at that period of time because I was a big walker here in Florida. But what was new was it was in the coldest part of the winter up in Virginia. I was walking on snow-covered streets in the morning, and it was dark. This was 4 o'clock and 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. We lived in a military community, so to my surprise, there were other people out there running and exercising in the morning. I just got up. He just had me getting up, and I was like, Lord, I don't know what you're telling me or what you're trying to show me. I'm just going to do. So I would get out there because walking had always been my place of solitude. That was like me and God time. We were just, that was our time to really bond. And I would listen to my music and all that kind of stuff. But either way, one particular morning in December, I'll never forget it. And I still get excited when I think about how it happened. I'm leaving the house. I got my keys. It's cold. It is snow on the ground. And I had to learn how to walk in snow. But anywho, they had cleaned the streets off and all that stuff. Either way, I'm turning the corner and I'm just in tears because the Lord had that particular morning, He brought back to my remembrance how I was back in Florida. In Florida, this was before I married military. I was a young widow and I had gone through a whole lot as a result of that. And the Lord was showing me, I'm doing something new in you. And what I'm doing in you, you're going to encourage other women to do the same. I had a bout of depression after that death of my first husband. I had that. I was severely overweight, what they would call, and I wasn't morbidly obese, but I was in the obese category. If you look at the BMI chart and the standard that they were holding me to, I was obese. But part of my walking as a place of me and God time and my solace, that's where I found my peace. I started to lose weight. So by the time I married military, I was fine. Oh, I was nice and fine by that time. So I was out there just walking. But that's when the Lord told me, no, you are going to, what I brought you out of, you're going to encourage other women to do the same. Not only the obesity, but the way you battle that depression, but the way we made it out of that alone, so many women are dealing with, and nobody wants to talk about it. Conversations. Nobody wants to have that conversation about church people going through depression. I've always been a church girl. I have not backslid. I was not in a backslidden space when I was fighting depression. I was not. I was a tithe paying member, going through, but still going through. But that healthy church girl, I turned that corner from our house and I was like, Lord, no, you talking to the wrong girl. It's just me out here, but I know you talking to the wrong girl. You're not talking to me. Because mind you, I had so many insecurities because I was overweight at one time. So to talk about those insecurities that I had while I was bigger, to talk about the shame and things that happened after my first husband died, to talk about how I had to battle that depression, I was like, Lord, I'm not that vulnerable and I'm not that transparent. I don't want to share that because people are going to talk about me. People are going, what are they going to say? What are they going to think? I've been dressing it up. I've been making it look cute. They have no idea what I've been going through. But the Lord impressed upon me, girl, it was never about you. It was all about me. And I brought you through that for a purpose. There are going to be women that are going to need to hear that message. And I kid you not, do you know how many people, I was 29, 30 years old when my first husband died. And I mean, died like that. It wasn't a sickness, perfectly healthy. He was 31. And I mean, I went to work and I got a call at the job, the hospital telling me, you need to come over here. And I'm like, for what? But
Mm.
neither here nor there. That's for another day.
Right.
But
Wow.
what came out of that was that walk that morning changed my life. I
Mm-hmm.
tell anybody that walk changed my life that morning because the Lord told me, He says, you're going to be open.
Yeah.
I'm going to free you from people's opinions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take that weight off of you that you feel. And that's why I guess I'm such an open book right now because
Mm-hmm.
I'm just open like that because it was never about me. And I always have said, God, if it's for your glory, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Amen.
And that's what
Amen.
Healthy Church Girl is. When I turned that corner and he gave me the name Healthy
Okay.
Church Girl, I got on the phone. When I got back to that house, it was probably about 6 o'clock that morning. And I knew my best friend would have been up by now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm texting her and I said, Alicia, you're never going to guess. You're never going to guess. The Lord gave me something. And I think I was trying to change it in my mind, the Healthy Church chick, because back
Mm-hmm.
then that was the cute thing to say, hey
Mm-hmm.
chick. And my
Mm-hmm.
best friend and I sometimes we still call each other chick.
Mm-hmm.
But the Lord says, no, that is not what I gave you. I gave you Healthy Church Girl because I'm going to keep you in a place of humility, number one. And
Okay.
I'm going to I want you to always remember that you're my child
Mm-hmm.
because I'm also a daddy's girl.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, hence, my daddy is here and I'm in that caregiver role. But I've always been a daddy's girl, but the Lord said, don't you dare change that to Healthy Church chick. It's
Mm-hmm.
Healthy Church Girl. That's what I gave you. And I've been, that's how Healthy Church Girl came about. And that was 2015. And you
Okay.
can see Healthy Church Girl has had its downward turn where when I just was like, Lord, I don't know what you want me
Mm-hmm.
to do. I don't know what you want me to do with it. I can't see the plan for it. So I'm just going to stop.
Yeah.
And every time I get to that place, I get I get a little whooping, a little spiritual whooping that says, let's get
Mm-hmm.
back on to get back to where you're supposed to be.
Right.
Uh, so the Lord literally gave me Healthy Church Girl, and every now and again He has to pop my little hand and say, come on, girl, because what I found is Healthy Church Girl is my purpose.
Mm.
That procurement job, that's just funding the dream right now. That's
Come
just funding
on.
the dream.
Come on.
That's not my purpose. And literally the Lord, he got me good one morning. He says, when you stop dragging this purpose and this assignment around like a hobby,
Ooh.
then we're gonna really get the moving here. But you got to change your mind about it. I gave that to you, and I freed you from the opinions of people. Now it's time to operate in it and walk in it. So I'm out here right now, and I'm excited. Even though it was 2015, and even though I've had those little low slumps where
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't giving it the energy that it needed, God told me, you got to stop dragging it around like it's a hobby, because I didn't give it to you as a hobby. I gave it to you as a purpose because it's connected to somebody else's purpose.
Yeah.
Somebody else needs to hear that to come out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody else's life is on the line. How
Wow.
dare you hold back? So
Yeah.
in a long way around the bush. I know the church girl came to be.
I love it. So I took away several things from
Mm-hmm.
your story that you just shared. And first I want to send my condolences. I'm not sure how long it's been, but still to lose a loved one is hard. So
Mm-hmm.
want to
Mm-hmm.
send my condolences for that. And also, so you mentioned obedience.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned being in a space and place where you can hear God, because it's hard
That's
to be
right.
obedient if you're not listening.
That's right.
You talked about how sometimes we may view things as a hobby, but God is like,
Mm-hmm.
no, this is really your purpose,
Mm-hmm.
and looking at it in a way that we give it the time and energy and investment that it needs.
Mm-hmm.
What I really want to highlight though is when you talked about the Lord saying, I have delivered you from the opinions of people,
Come on.
and that keeping you from moving in what he wanted you to do. And so this is not on one of my questions, but I'm on just give me just a little nugget
Come on.
on how the Lord helped you deal with that? Because I know for a lot of people, that
Mhm.
is a challenge, like,
It is.
especially in the church. Like I know we all come as you are.
Mhm.
Sometimes we what huh? Well, who so
Mhm.
how did the Lord help you break free of the opinions of others?
Listen, I grew up in a Baptist church and my mom was a principal. So there was almost like a expectation
Mm-hmm.
of me to do well in life, of me to perform well. I was going to be on every Easter play, every Christmas play. I was going to have a speech when the church anniversary came around, pastor's anniversary came around. Guess who was doing the welcome address and the occasion every year? Oh, it was me. It was
Mm-hmm.
so people had a natural inclination or thought of how I would always be. But what I did not take into consideration and what came the way the weight of opinion started to come down was when the weight came on.
Okay.
And what they did not know was the weight was a result of I had I had polycystic ovaries, and back then
Mm-hmm.
polycystic ovaries nobody knew what it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was fresh off the market. Different talk for a different day, but it was not just me sitting home eating, eating,
Mm-hmm.
eating, and people people they come to church. People can say some things. Church people can say some things,
Mm-hmm.
and it would be, girl, you need to start pulling back from that table,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or that dress fitting them hips a little bit, ain't it? You know, and
Mm-hmm.
literally I had ballooned. I did. The comments didn't help the situation
Mm-hmm.
at all.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't the one that, oh, they're saying that. Now I'm just gonna do the opposite and I'm gonna go and start. I'm gonna start dieting as a result. No, I would go home crying and go through Dairy Queen on the way home
Right.
and get a blizzard on the way home because it hurt my feelings. It hurt
Mm-hmm.
my feelings. But what ended up happening, I didn't get delivered from people. In my first marriage, I didn't, I would, the opinions matter.
Okay.
The opinions of people matter. But when my husband died and I found myself by myself,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like there was no protective layer because he was like a protective layer. And I was like, God, you took the layer of protection I had over me or what I thought was protecting me because he would validate me.
Mm-hmm.
He would. I have to say that he would. Um, but there were some things that came out after his death that just made me spiral even more. And
Mm-hmm.
I found myself in a pit. And it wasn't so much the opinions only. Now it was the opinions plus shame on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
And God had to do a work in me to where he had to show me who I was.
Okay.
Come to find out, you know why people's opinions mattered so much to me at that time? Because I didn't know who I was.
Mm. Okay.
I believed their truth about me because I didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
So I took what they were saying about me as gospel. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say how silly is that because I know it's a real deal because I've
Mm-hmm.
experienced that,
Mm-hmm.
but I really didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
When I married my first husband at 19, we moved in together. Yeah, we were shacking. Yeah, we were shacking. But I moved in from my dad's house and moved in with him, and I never knew who I was. It was whatever he wanted to eat. I'll be fine. I don't, whatever he wanted, whatever movie he wanted to go see, I'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever he wanted to do, I'd be fine.
Mm.
I had no clue until he took my husband, who Daria was.
Mm-hmm.
It was so refreshing. I was unmarried for 3 years in between.
Okay.
I was unmarried. I was in what they call a widowhood. I was a widow for 3 years. And in those 3 years, I came to know and love so much about myself until it was almost scary.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I never knew. And I was in the church the whole time, but the church, if they had a sermon, if they spoke about loving yourself at any time, I must have missed it. I
Wow.
was not there. I did not know it. But
Mhm.
here goes the thing, even now at my church, I serve at my church, and I tell the members quite often, this is why we have to be careful of coming into church for ceremony,
Mhm.
because you never know. People need an experience,
Yeah.
people need an encounter, because there are things that they'll never tell you, but they need to see God and they
Mhm.
need to feel His Holy Spirit because they are going through some things. And that's how I got delivered from out of the opinions of others, and
Mhm.
then that shame was ripped off
Yeah. Ooh.
because the Lord says, I'm going to show you who you are.
Wow.
I just couldn't believe it. I was like, I really was giving gravity and weight to someone else's truth about me.
Right.
Now, come on.
Right.
Come on.
That's so good. That's so
Mhm.
good. Thank you for sharing that story. Clearly the Lord is like, okay, so we're gonna go this way. Oh, with these questions and that
Go.
conversation. I love it. So as you're talking about your experience, just your life experience, leaving from your parents' home to your first marriage and just figuring
Mhm.
out who you are, it sounds like not only were you losing physical weight, you were also losing emotional weight. And
Come
I
on,
think
Doc.
that's
Come on.
I think that's one of the things as Christians sometimes we don't think about. I was doing another interview and we were talking about how sometimes people look at Christians as very one-dimensional, and
Mhm.
sometimes we even look at ourselves in that way where we are so focused on our spiritual health or our spiritual well-being. So are you reading your
Mhm.
Bible? Are you praying? Are you fasting? Are you going to church? But we don't think about necessarily the physical and the emotional part. So as you're, on this journey, as you're walking in your purpose, what are some ways we can be more intentional about that physical health and emotional health
Mhm.
part of our
Mhm.
well-being?
That is so important because there there's a correlation between the physical health and the emotional and mental health piece. Those two, they do go together
Mm-hmm.
quite well, I must say. One affects the other. So I tell people all the time, you change your mind, the body will react. The
Mm-hmm.
body reacts to how the mind goes. God changes the heart. The mind reacts from the heart, but the body reacts from the mind.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get down to the physical health, you got to really start looking at little things. And I'm a big person. Don't give me a whole lot to do at one time because I'm not going to do it all and I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to stick to it and it's not going to be maintainable. So you forget it.
Mm-hmm.
I found my success, and I didn't tell you this earlier, when I was doing the walking and God was healing me. And just like you said, I love that as I was releasing the emotional stuff, the
Mm-hmm.
physical weight was coming off. It was just a reflection of what was
Mm-hmm.
happening on the inside. And it was 95 pounds, 95 pounds,
Oh my
95 pounds I
gosh.
lost. Now I've been up to almost a 20 and I've been down to a 6. And now I'm kind of sitting in between, back and
Mm-hmm.
forth a little bit, but I'm getting it together. So, but little changes that you can implement. The emotional health is an important piece because this mind, Joyce Myers was on to something when she said it a long time ago. It's a battlefield. And if
Mm-hmm.
you can get control of your mind and get control of your emotions, you already won. You've already
Mm-hmm.
won most of it. So little changes, back to little changes that you can make. Put one foot in front of the other. Start
Mm-hmm.
walking. Consult with Dr. God and Google.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing, I tell people all the time, there is nothing I would not go at without including God,
Mm-hmm.
including this physical weight. How
Right.
dare I wouldn't try to do anything to this body without talking to the maker.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't. People try it all the time. I don't know how those people do it. I really don't. I really don't. But as for me and this body, I consult with God on it. And people say, "You talk to God about losing weight?" Yes, I do. Yes, I do,
Right.
because I know He'll change this appetite. He'll
Mm-hmm.
change this palate in my mouth for what I eat. He'll change this heart, and my mind will follow it. But essentially, and it's so weird. People say, "You going walking today?" Yes, I'm going walking today. My
Mhm.
mind already made up on it, because part of Healthy Church Girl came about in a walking way and
Mhm.
walking in my purpose, but it's also breaking the familiar. People say it's
Okay.
hard to do that.
Yeah.
It's hard to walk. It's hard to do that. You know why it's so hard? Because it's hard work changing the expectation that's attached to the familiar.
Come
You've
on.
been doing it that way for so long. You've seen other people do it that way for so long. Your family does it that way. My mama was not a big walker. My dad is not a big walker. Nobody's a big health person. Now
Mhm.
my brother is. My
Mhm.
brother has become. But there are just little things that you can do, but it all starts with the mind. The thing I was getting ready to say about the emotional piece
Mhm.
as well, that emotional piece is so big. I found myself, I'm on that 40-day, I'm doing a 40-day pursuit of health
Mhm.
where I'm really examining my own self.
Okay.
And I've invited other people to join in with me, but I'm looking at the physical, spiritual, and emotional and mental health piece as well. But what I found, and I was like, I really have not, I should have known this, but I
Mhm.
didn't. Or maybe God is just shining a light on it, because it's partly part of the reason why I've gained some of the weight. I
Mhm.
was not looking closely and not paying attention at when I ate, what I ate, and why I was eating.
Mm.
If you can get the three brothers down, the when, the why, and the what, you get those down on your eating, it will do wonders for you. I started using the MyFitnessPal app. It's a
Mhm.
free app in the Play
Mhm.
Store. I'm an Android girl, so
Yep.
it's in my place. Oh, it's in my see. I knew we were gonna hit it off, but it's in the Play Store. But it's a free app that gives you a visual picture of what you're eating. So the what, the why, and the when. The what I can do low carb. I got it. I'm good at that.
Mhm.
The when, eating late at night, I had to cut that out. I got to cut
Mhm.
that. That's a small change that could be easily made.
Mhm.
Your body isn't gonna let you starve overnight if you stop eating before 8 o'clock.
Right.
It's not. You think you're hungry, drink water.
Mhm.
But also the piece that is very important, the why you're
Yes.
eating. Are
Yes.
you really hungry? And that's a big deal. You
Mhm.
got to realize and you got to pay attention to what's the difference between hungry, anxiousness,
Mhm.
boredom, just
Come
it
on.
you'd
Yep.
be surprised. I looked the other day, I'm like, Daria, you don't even want that. You just grabbing it because you're trying to
Mhm.
think. I was at work actually, and here I am just grabbing in my lunch bag for something. And even though it was protein chips, but still, even protein, too much of the protein chips is not good. But I
Mhm.
literally was just grabbing for it to have something in my mouth.
Yeah.
People back, I don't know, here, my family, oh, we're big bakers.
Mhm.
Everybody bakes. We bake. I'm the chief potato pie baker for
Okay.
my family. Even as Healthy Church Girl, I'm the chief potato pie baker. But everybody has this thing.
Mhm.
After we eat, we can eat. They eat full plates, but
Right.
it's, oh, I need something sweet.
Right.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You really don't need some, but it's just the way I was raised, and that's
Yeah.
just the way our family is. But that's part of the hard work in changing. It's breaking that expectation off of the familiar, breaking away from that familiar piece. I'm almost like, we're not even eating because we're hungry. We're just eating out of habit. Just
Right.
like, okay, it's just customary to have red velvet cake and potato, and not just one dessert. We got to have
Mhm.
two or three
Mhm.
on that. Look, you're gonna
Mhm.
get a little dessert plate.
Right.
Those are the kind of habits we have to break, but
Okay.
that only comes by examining those, the what, the when, and the whys. If you answer those three,
Yeah.
that's another small thing. I feel like I'm rambling, but somebody's gonna get something out of this.
No,
Somebody's gonna get something out of those
that
nuggets.
was so good. I am like you. I like very practical
Mhm.
tips and tools, things that are
Mhm.
tangible. And
Come
like you
on.
said, things that are, if like you said, if you give me a list of 10 things, I'm gonna be like, okay, I stopped at 3. I'm already overwhelmed.
Sorry.
I can't do it. So
Uh-uh.
I mean that's perfect. So
Yes.
as people are listening and thinking about, okay, so I want to be healthier. How can I start
Mhm.
this journey?
Mhm.
Daria just gave us 3 very small,
Mhm.
tangible things: the what, the when, and the why. And I'm gonna highlight
Mhm.
the why as we get ready to wrap all this up,
Ooh.
because that ties back into what we were just about, the emotional
Mhm.
piece. So if
Mhm.
you are anxious, if you are depressed, if you are overwhelmed,
Mhm.
your comfort, instead of it being Jesus, it may be potato salad, or it may
Yeah,
be sweet
come
potato
on.
pie, or it might be that bag of chips.
That's
And
right.
um, so I think that's another thing to be conscious of, is that being mindful of your physical health is not just your body. It
That's right.
is your mind, and it is your heart, and it is asking yourself those questions and answering them honestly.
That's right.
So you can't just be like, well, I know
No.
you feel some kind of way
Mhm.
about that. And
Mhm.
you feel better when you sit in front of the couch, you sit on the couch, watch Netflix and eat a bag of you think you feel better. Your mind is tricked into thinking you
Come on.
feel better. But then you
Come
feel
on.
guilty afterwards because
Come
you're
on.
like, I can't believe I ate a whole bag of
I
chips.
can't believe I did that.
You
I
know,
can't believe it.
so I
It
love that. I'm doing, and I want you to tell the people a little bit about your 40-day challenge. I'm doing a
Mhm.
75-day challenge right now. And
Mhm.
a friend of mine who started this, we were doing a reset the other day. And so she messaged me
Uh-huh.
and she was like, I ate some popcorn. And
Girl.
she was like, I just mindlessly started eating some popcorn. I said, but it wasn't mindless, because
Mm-mm.
you had to go in your bag. You had
That's
to
right.
open the bag of chips. You had
That's
to,
right.
or popcorn, you had to put
Mhm.
your hand in it. So we were like talking about like what were the steps that got you there,
That's right.
and thinking it through. So it's the physical, but the physical comes after the mind. So tell the people a little bit about your 40-day challenge in case they want to join you or start their
Absolutely.
own, because depending on when I post this, it might be over.
Absolutely. And listen, depending upon when you post this, I may do it again because I am just on
Okay.
day 4.
Okay.
And let me tell you, I have been tremendously blessed by the 40-day pursuit of health challenge that I have started in Healthy Church Girl. You are familiar. I've done challenges,
Mm-hmm.
walking challenges, mileage challenges, and stuff like that. I've done that before. And they've gone well, relatively well, in my opinion. But with the pressures and the things that I was feeling, I knew the Lord was calling me to do something. And He was calling me out to do something that was going to come close, to draw closer to Him. And I tell anybody, I wouldn't trade anything for God right now. I
Mm-hmm.
really wouldn't. I really wouldn't, even as it pertains to my health.
Mm-hmm.
Because when he saw me getting stressed because the caregiver role is heavy, my job is stressful, my husband is wonderful, but there's just a lot going on. I'm seeing my gynecologist. I'm now, instead of PCOS, I'm fighting the good fight of fibroids,
Mm-hmm.
and they are kicking my tail. Sometimes they're kicking my tail. But in any amount, I just felt the Lord saying, come to me.
Mm-hmm.
Come to me. And I was, because you ever get that feeling where you're just all over the place? The
Mm-hmm.
house is a mess, work is a mess, relationship may be a mess. I got to clean up this friendship, I got to straighten this out. And it just all compounds. And if you're not careful, the enemy will use that and overwhelm you with that.
Mm-hmm.
And for a person like me, who's fought depression, I know what pocket he can come out of. But
Mm-hmm.
in any amount, the 40-day Pursuit of Health Challenge is a challenge where I just wanted, like you said, almost like a reset.
Okay.
Let me get back into place, into right standing, into a focused position and posture where I can hear from the Lord
Wow.
on what way I am supposed to go, not just physical. I told y'all I was
Mhm.
sitting a little heavy. I'm sitting a little heavy, but not just physical, but the spiritual and the emotional and
Mhm.
the mental piece, because the things that were just going on, it was just so much. It's just a lot going on me. And you'd be surprised when I put that out there and I told people there's just so much going on around me in my world. There were so many other people. I mean, people who never participated in the challenge before. They're like, I'm doing it because I need to hear from God as
Mhm.
well. And even my 74-year-old mama, she
Mhm.
said, I can't do the walking part, but I'm going to get in on it. So essentially, what it is for the physical component, we're doing intermittent fasting, low carb eating, no sodas, no sweets. And on Sundays, we have one regular celebration style meal. I don't
Okay.
like to call it cheating because you're not cheating anything. It's
Mhm.
just essentially you get a moment. And to be honest, once you're doing low carb for that many days, that's how I lost the weight before. You need a regular meal to kind of carb load, carb cycle to
Okay.
bring some more carbs back into your diet.
Hmm.
For the prayer and spiritual piece, we're praying, we're praying, we're studying, we're reading at least an hour a day. I am doing Draw the Circle with Mark Batterson. This
Okay.
is a 40-day prayer challenge, but he has a book called The Circle Maker that goes along with it. When I tell you,
Okay.
this thing has blessed my heart and blessed my soul, and I'm just on day 4. I
Okay.
wake up at 4, the first alarm goes off at 4:45, and I come up here. This is my little guest room, but I come up here and I
Mhm.
get in my corner and I'm crying tears.
Mhm.
The last few days I've been in tears before I even get going good because the Lord is meeting me in that regard. I
Yeah.
forgot to also say in the physical part, we're doing miles, walking, running, jogging, 15 miles per week. That's just the time where outside of the prayer, that's the time you get out. And you'll be surprised what the Lord wants to show you, what He wants you to see. Once you get out into His creation, this
Mhm.
guest room is all right. But when I get out there on the nature trail or wherever I'm walking and you see people, you see animals, you see flowers, you just see the beauty of God's creation, it does something for me.
Yeah.
So we're doing 15 miles as well. The last part of the Pursuit of Health Challenge, I'm journaling.
Okay.
Do you know how hard it has been at night before this challenge? I just felt like my mind was running,
Mhm.
constantly running, where you have to slow your mind down. And essentially, I would doze off from exhaustion.
Yeah.
But when you journal, it's just a way to spit it all out,
Yeah.
put it all on paper.
Mhm.
This book has a prayer journal that I'm actually writing down my prayers because 45-year-old me is starting to forget little things. And when the Lord comes through, I want to remember. I want to
Mhm.
remember it. I want to remember it. But at any amount, the journaling is how many journal I've got 1,000 journals.
Right.
I don't know if you all have Marshalls, TJ Maxx, Ross,
Mhm.
but up by the register, it's a trick.
Yep.
It's a booby trap. They have all these journals that are so nice. I've got a whole drawer full of them and unused, but
Mhm.
they are going to get well written on during this 40-day Pursuit of Health challenge. The dates are from May 20th to June 29th. But like I just said, after that, I can see myself doing this again with another book and with another type of study because it's just like the Lord just opens himself up and says, come on,
Yeah.
let me lay. And this little chair over here has my little blanket. It's the oldest blanket I have, but it just feels like I feel him embracing me and saying, come on, let me get you started. It's like a kiss, God's kiss saying, come on, you spent time with me this morning. I'm going to cover you for the day. Your mind, you're starting out fresh, and you can do it. Some days I used to be so defeated, like, Lord, I ain't get nothing done today.
Right.
Today just was a nothing, a flop. But these last 4 days, I literally have felt his presence. And when I leave out this house in the morning, I'm like, Lord, we can do this. We
Yeah.
got this day.
Yeah.
We've got it. My mind has changed because God has
Mhm.
worked on the heart.
Mhm.
Once God influences that heart, here comes that mind, and that mind shift happens. So don't be surprised. You don't never know what what's going to happen with Healthy Church
Mhm.
Girl, because God is definitely revealing things to me through this 40-day pursuit of health challenge. I encourage anybody to do whatever way God shows you, get in his presence. And it's not just the church, the brick and mortar church.
Mhm.
Please don't
Amen.
wait till you get to the brick and mortar church to get drawn into his presence, because I guarantee you he's wanting to hear and talk with you before then. Um,
Yes. Ooh,
so
come
that's
on.
what it is.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. When I post this, I will be sure to include your social media handles so then people can follow
Absolutely.
you and they can, jump on this one or start the new one. I am so glad that we had the opportunity to talk. As I mentioned, we've been social media friends for a minute now, so just to be able to talk and fellowship and ask questions has been just such a
I'm
joy.
telling you.
And then also just what you shared has been so
Mhm.
informative, so inspirational, and like we really needed that. So if anybody listening to
Yes.
this, I feel like at least one person is gonna be motivated to move. So again, I just want to
Oh,
say
praise
thank
God.
you to you for taking time out of your schedule. And I would like to say that I think um unless you have any final words that you want to say.
I don't. I feel like I've said so much, but I am open to God has given me this burden for women through Healthy Church Girl. So no question is too small. No thing is too big. We'll figure it out. We'll take it before the Lord and pray. If you need somebody, I'm the prayer partner at the church. The kids call me God Mama. I've got a whole bunch of God kids, but I'm the Sunday school teacher
Okay.
for the teen ministry. So of course I'm close to those kids, but I tell them all the time, that's what I'm here for. This is
Mhm.
my purpose. God has given me the burden for women. That job, that's the job.
You're right.
But God, this is what God designed me for. So I'm open to all women. If you have any questions, if you who's to say we ought to get a prayer group going.
Oh,
Because this thing called Instagram, Facebook, social media,
mhm.
this world, I believe, is part of this is God's design as well.
Mhm.
I mean, and if it wasn't, he's still going to use it for his
Right.
glory. So I'm here for it. I am
Okay.
here for it.
Listen now, y'all listeners, y'all are the first ones to hear. Don't be surprised if you mess around and hear Dr. S and Healthy Church Girl starting a prayer line. So
Come on.
be
Come on.
ready. Be ready.
I told you, you keep looking at the door. I'm going to come into the roar like a lion this conference. I'm going to walk in one day.
Come
You just
on.
never know. I've never been out that way, but hey, you just
We
never
would
know what
love
God's
to
going
have
to do.
you. Yes, we would love to have you again. This has been a
Mhm.
joy, and I think I can say we're gonna have to do a part two, but I think I can say that all of my questions have been
Yes.
answered, and I just want to thank our virtual family who's also listening
Yes.
to I Got a Question Conversations with Dr. S. I appreciate you guys' support, and if you haven't already, be sure to follow me on Spotify or Anchor, or if you prefer to look at us, then you could definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if these interviews have blessed you in any way, shape, or form, I encourage you to share it with all of the people you know. So we'll see you next time with more questions. Be blessed, Dr. S. Thank you for joining us for another episode of I Got a Question Conversations with Dr. S. Be blessed, Dr. S.